Manners maketh.
When you look back at the Kingsman franchise, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. The series kicked off with a bang in 2014 when Kingsman: The Secret Service hit theaters. The movie introduced audiences to Eggsy, played by Taron Egerton, and it quickly became a stylish, fun, and fresh take on the spy genre. It had over-the-top action, a quirky sense of humor, and a surprising amount of heart. People loved it, so naturally talk of sequels started almost immediately. But here's the thing. While the follow-ups have had their moments, the road to Kingsman 4 has been rocky, and the latest update makes that clearer than ever. The second movie, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, landed in 2017, and while it did fine at the box office, critics and fans didn't embrace it the same way they did the first film. Some thought it doubled down too hard on the ridiculous elements without keeping the balance that made the first one work. Still, it wasn't a total disaster. But the prequel, The King's Man, was another story. It didn't connect with audiences at all. Released during the pandemic, it only made around $125 million worldwide, and reviews weren't kind either, with a Rotten Tomatoes score sitting in the low 40s. So when people started wondering about Kingsman 4, it felt like things were up in the air. Director Matthew Vaughn had previously suggested that the reason the fourth movie hadn't moved forward yet was because of Taron Egerton's busy schedule. He made it sound like the delay was mostly about availability. But in a recent interview with The Playlist, Egerton pushed back on that idea. He said his schedule wasn't the problem and revealed that he'd actually spoken to Vaughn about it just a few days earlier. According to him, both he and Vaughn are still excited to make the movie, and he even mentioned that Colin Firth is opening to returning as Harry Hart. The catch? They still don't have a script. Egerton put it simply, he loves Vaughn, he thinks there's a great story to tell for Eggsy's final chapter, and he believes Kingsman 4 will eventually happen. But as of now, nothing is set in stone. That raises a big question. What exactly is going on with this movie, and when will we actually see it? Here's where things get tricky. Vaughn had seemingly confirmed at New York Comic-Con in October 2024 that Kingsman 4 would start shooting in 2024. But Egerton's comments suggest there isn't even a finished script yet, which makes that timeline hard to believe. Without a script, filming definitely won't happen anytime soon. If we're being realistic, the earliest production could start is late 2026, which would push the release date into 2027 or even 2028. And honestly, there are other factors that might be slowing things down. While The Golden Circle made money, The King's Man really underperformed, and that has to weigh on the studio's decision-making. On top of that, Vaughn's most recent project Argylle didn't do well either. That film wasn't part of the Kingsman franchise, but it was meant to launch another spy-related universe, and its failure may have shaken some confidence in Vaughn's box office pull. When a director has back-to-back disappointments, studios naturally start to hesitate about greenlighting another expensive project. Even so, the enthusiasm from Egerton, Vaughn, and Firth is a good sign. The fact that the three of them are still passionate about finishing Eggsy's story means there's hope, and really, the fans haven't seen the last of Eggsy. He's too important to the franchise, and Vaughn has made it clear he wants to close the character's arc properly. The big question, though, is whether a fourth film can capture the magic of the original. The first Kingsman worked so well because it was fresh, stylish, and exciting. By the second and fourth entries, audiences weren't as impressed. Vaughn probably realizes this, which is why he might be taking extra time to get Kingsman 4 right. The working title, Kingsman: The Blue Blood, suggests this will be the final outing for Eggsy and Harry, so it's crucial that the story feels satisfying. One thing Vaughn has to avoid is repeating past mistakes, especially when it comes to character deaths and retcons. In The Golden Circle, the most controversial creative choice was resurrecting Harry Hart. In the first movie, Harry was shot in the head at point-blank range by Samuel L. Jackson's Valentine, and it seemed like a permanent death. But in the sequel, we learned that the Statesman, the American counterpart to the Kingsman, managed to save him using some highly advanced medical technology. It was a very comic book-like twist, and while some fans accepted it because of the franchise's exaggerated tone, others felt it cheapened the story. The problem is that The Golden Circle set a dangerous precedent. If Harry can come back after being shot in the head, then what's to stop any character from being brought back? That's why many fans are now worried about whether Vaughn might undo the death of Merlin, the Kingsman's tech genius played by Mark Strong. Merlin sacrificed himself by stepping on a landmine so that Eggsy and Harry could complete their mission, and it was one of the most emotional, heroic moments in the series. If Vaughn decides to bring him back, using some sort of over-the-top explanation, it risks undermining not just that sacrifice, but also the stakes of the entire franchise. Because let's face it, in stories like these, death has to mean something. If every character can just be resurrected with a piece of fictional tech, then audiences stop caring about the danger. Merlin's death worked because it gave his character closure, it raised the stakes, and it allowed Eggsy and Harry to move forward. If the Blue Blood undoes that, the entire franchise loses credibility. Now that's not to say fans don't love Merlin, he's definitely a favorite, but his arc was complete. Bringing him back would feel like the filmmakers were afraid to let go of popular characters, and it would weaken the overall narrative. So if Vaughn and his team really want Kingsman 4 to work, they have to resist the temptation to pull another retcon. Another challenge is figuring out the tone. The first Kingsman balanced absurd action with a grounded story about Eggsy's growth from a troubled kid into a gentleman spy. That heart was missing from the later films, which leaned too heavily on cartoonish villains and wild gadgets. To really land with audiences again, the Blue Blood has to return to its roots. It doesn't mean the series should abandon its wild creativity, but it needs to find the same mix of style, humor, and genuine emotion that made the first film special. If Vaughn gets it right, Kingsman 4 could be a strong conclusion to Eggsy and Harry's story. It would also give fans closure after years of delays and uncertainty. But the pressure is definitely on. With two underwhelming entries already in the franchise, The Golden Circle and The King's Man, audiences won't accept another misstep. So, where does that leave us now? Essentially, it's a waiting game. Egerton has made it clear that he's in, Vaughn wants to do it, and Firth is willing to return. The missing piece is the script, which has to be solid enough to justify bringing the franchise back. If Vaughn can deliver that, then Kingsman the Blue Blood could be the finale fans have been waiting for. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.